stand and give the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, number 3, the recap of the engineering meeting. Scott, you want to start?
The mayor and myself went down to have a discussion with the Hawkins and Anderson. We met with the two owners. I believe they're both the owners. And had a good discussion, talking over some of the areas that they felt uncomfortable with what was going on as to why they sent in their letter of resignation. We tried to have a discussion as to how we could retain their services yet move forward. There seemed to be some leeway that they would give it a chance and see how things went. I thought it was a good meeting overall. Definitely, there's some challenges and going forward, with that, how we go forward, but if there's a roadmap for us to go down in order to make this relationship work and not have to get a fourth engineer in 5 years. So that's kind of most of the gist that I got from it.
Did they say what challenges are, or
Well, they are afraid of
the resignation?
ending up in a lawsuit. And they also they have to work with all these vendors, and they're having vendors that are not been alluded to them that they are not thrilled about working in Baldwin because of issues. Didn't delve deep into those issues. We're just trying to retain our engineer at this point. They know that they can't work with the current arrangement at that time of the roads department, our roads liaison to down. So I think that's what I got from that.
Yes, Tom, you sent me with some questions. One was, how did we disrespect Sam? And it was not that we necessarily mistreated Sam, if you will, whatever. Craig, the other guy, was Shane Nelson, and Craig that we met with. And Craig's words were, nobody's going to be harder on my kid than me. So that sent a little confusion to me, because the last we had heard, he had thought that he was a punching bag. So ultimately, what that turns out to really mean, and B, and we have this also to discuss communication with engineers here as number 4 on here. But one thing, a couple of things. First of all, they were the pre-con meeting that we had for this seal coating project and crack sealing project, whatever. Technically, they were here as a courtesy to us to get that done, because that pre-con meeting and forward is part of the project management and not what they were doing. Right? So we did not hire them to do the project management. Therefore, they came to make sure that everybody knew that you have your vendor, you have all of that, whatever, set, whatever, and you're going to take the rest of that in-house wanted to do, and ultimately that had happened. And so, and then the next thing that ultimately happened is, as we got into it, obviously we know, if we want a recap of that whole job, how that's gone, I'm not sure if we want that or not, but we know for a fact that Seal Pros blew the bid. They blew the bid, right? And so, and that's from Andre. He's the one who actually said that himself. You know what I mean? In emails and a lot of the correspondence we've had, he blew the bid. So as we went down, there's some engineering and acceptable standards, whatever, that it was thought by Andre as well, that should have been okayed. There was the decision, whatever, to by the town and our people in-house or whatever to say, well, no, you're gonna do it exactly this way, and you're gonna, I don't know if we're going to call it hindered, whatever, but we most certainly slowed down the progress, whatnot, of Seal Pros being able to do that. Get their work done. Because the other part of that too is something does come unglued, they're gonna wind up coming back to fix it. Well, so, and anyway, and so we're asking for a good job to get done. I think, and ultimately, as they go back and fix things, they are getting a good job done. Well, and then when they came to a payment, it became very clear to me that we didn't have a way to determine how much work they had accomplished. Right, because, and I said it in that meeting, whatever, that we got to a point where, 5 weeks into what was bid as a 3-week job, they only have $20,000 worth of a $150,000 project done. Right, and unless we can cross our i's and dot our t's, if you will, whatever, along the whole way to know where we're going, which apparently didn't happen, we couldn't say what was done satisfactorily. Well, and now we also know, and we, from Seal Pro's own requests, whatever, they're saying, we're dying, this is killing us, we're having a hell of a time trying to, make this, but we want to try and do a good job for you. And we couldn't even pay them for the first draw they were, because we have to substantiate as much as they. Anyway, and there it is. So what happens is, ultimately, we owe them, and if they ask for a draw in those kind of things, whatever, we are, the responsibility is on us is to pay them what they're asking for, right? Okay, we don't have to pay them for the stuff that's garbage, whatever, but we have to pay them for what's done and what's satisfactory. And by that time, we had, well over what I believe was $20,000. And in the end, we paid them $110,000. Okay, so the question is, as we're going, we wanted to take this in-house because we thought that we were capable of doing that, whatever, and it became quite apparent at our last engineers workshop, whatever, that we were not prepared and we were not capable of taking it in and doing all of that, because we specifically asked the engineers, it was directed to them, we need direction on which way to turn. Okay, and so now all of a sudden, and then I also believe the comments that were made to him was, well, it's your plans, it's your specs, it's your deal here, whatever, you should have some skin in the game, and that's what the city told him. And so the city did not contract him, and if you remember in that meeting, he had also said that if he had to babysit somebody, that's why the number was so high. $25,000 is what they'd wanted to do. And so ultimately, they got into a position where if Seal Pros had wanted to, there could have been a lawsuit had we not ultimately intervened and do all this. They were not hired to manage the project, so they were not doing any managing. They were, however, reaching out and trying to help as much as they possibly could, maybe even more so than what they should, because technically they weren't getting paid for any of that. They were trying to help out, and now all of a sudden it really goes poof here, whatnot. Now Seal Pros Seal Pros is still working on it, and then we had another issue today. So what they believed is, they firmly believed that that was just not a position that they wanted their company to be in, right? Because the next thing that was going to happen at that point in time was we were going to say, help, 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 help. You know what I mean? Get in here, bail us out, make sure that this all fits, whatever, And who knows where it would have gone from there. The other part of that, and Mr. Case did allude to that, part of the conversation was whether a contractor does a good job, a bad job, a phenomenal job, or never even shows up, right? That can be a determination for if we use that contractor ever again. You know what I mean? This is part of the responsible bids and those kind of things, whatnot, which can be ironed out, but we're stuck. Right, when we get into this situation, we're dealing with this particular contractor, and here it is, we gotta make it work. And the bottom line is, at the end of the day, the engineers gotta get along with the contractors, all of them, whether they do good or bad, right? You know what I mean? We need to be able to get along with our contractors and our engineers, our vendors, and those kind of things, whatever. We're all in this together. And really what has happened, the way that this job has gone down and spiraled into oblivion as it has, it seems to. What I mean, ultimately, the word on the street really is it's tough to think about working for Baldwin, right? So I think that,
Is that their, is that, well, I'll let you finish, but is that their opinion?
no, that's my opinion.
Okay.
That's my opinion. But we do know out there that it's tough. Their opinion is absolutely that they need to, whether it's Knife River on 305th, when we were dealing with them with that, you know, on 278th and 123rd, Knife River, whether it's them, whether they're screwing up or not screwing up or whatever the deal is, the bottom line is we're gonna have projects next year, where everybody's gotta work together. And so they're a little worried because, and 305th was a debacle, and we kind of walked through that. Because remember, that started with H.R. Green. And then Al, you were with me out on the pre-con meeting on that start of that project. Holy crap, we got out, we're standing at the road, and nobody had even figured out where the edges of the road right away was. So what ultimately happened at that point in time? Well, we all jumped in, whatnot. H.R. Green's gone by this time, because now that's the end of what they're gonna do for us. And we get Curry involved, whatever, because we had to figure out where the road right-of-ways were, whatever. And this turned out to be prescriptive easement and a fairly easy thing to do. And I think Sam DeLeo came in and did the survey and whatever, and boom, boom, boom. Within 3-4 days, whatever, we had that figured out where the edges of the road were, and we were gonna cut all the way out to it, and we were gonna go. But now this is a change order. Right, now, we don't understand that this is a change order because we're saying, what do you mean you're not gonna clear all the way? That's what we said. So ultimately, that was a change order. Well, whether Knife River, it doesn't really matter, because what Knife River said and what they quoted, whatever, was not grubbing all the way out to the edge of the road. But it's what we wanted to do, so we had an increase. So what we did is told Hawkinson Anderson, hey, go beat up on Knife River because this needs to be done. Right, here's part of when Matt Kind is in here talking to us, and he says, well, it's gonna, right, now, and we all understand that, yes, it's gonna cost us, because if it wasn't in the scope of the project, then yes, it's gonna cost us. So then the question becomes, and they did actually beat up Knife River on there, because they brought in 30 tons or more than that, whatnot, of extra class 5 and raised the grade, and then they hauled it out, and, you know, so they went to bat for us. But there's a certain amount of stuff that they're willing to go to bat for us for, right? You know what I mean? And so that one was a debacle, and we discussed that at length too, because that started with H.R. Green and the false plan that, well, a plan that H.R. Green had that we hadn't seen. When we got on the road, we got things fixed, whatever, and then we also talked about, you know, leaving the culverts in there and buried. That's just not what we want to do. Then we also discussed the project, the 123rd, whatever, and 278th and the culvert projects and all of that. And Matt and I going nose to nose, which was uncalled for, absolutely unnecessary, not anything that I ever want to do again. But here's why, and here's the things that we need to do to try and straighten some of these things out. So we're thinking, forward thinking, whatever, and you know, moving forward on those types of things. With that in mind, well, and then that's how that worked out as well. So ultimately, to do the job the way we did that job, I mean, I'm trying to pinpoint what happened there. And what happened there was, it was a decision, we thought it was okay because it was offered to us by the engineer to do a change order on 305th or over what happened in the asphalt there. Well, the bottom line is that never should have been a change order. That should have been a project all on its own, that stood on its own merits, that started with its own engineering. But it was trying to get wrapped up into that same year's project because it was thought in the very beginning that it was an emergency because the culvert washed out. Right, and so we shored up the culvert, that ended the emergency, whatever, and we proved that that was the case. It wasn't, because it was October when we were actually doing it. When that first washed out, it was the beginning of July. And it was October when we were actually doing the work. Right, so what everybody tried to do and jump, they jumped one way. We had hoped to do something in a different way, in a different aspect, and it just plain didn't hardly work. So here we are, right? So the question is, and it was covered that ultimately somebody made the decision, and we don't know who, whatnot, to widen 200. Right, because if we were going to replace only what's there, we could redo that and have a probably pretty good turnout. Then we ended up widening 278th, and now we had zero ground preparation, to hold up and establish what our new road pavement width was. So the question from me to Hawkins and Anderson was, at some point in time there, it should have been, no, this needs to be a road project, and if we're not smart enough to figure that out, they need to tell us this. Right? Because basically what should have happened is that whole area there is a swamp, right? Everybody saw it, everybody looked at it, everybody saw it. But so what should have happened is we should have made a decision, do we want to just patch where the culverts were where we dug out? Or do we want actually to reconstruct the road, because that's what probably should have happened. Neither one of those things happened. We didn't reconstruct the road, we just rolled out the asphalt. Next thing that happens is that we get lineal cracking, whatever, and the edges are seeming to be breaking off. Well, now Knife River says we'll come in, but we're not gonna do it for free because they were never told to do that to start with. Right, so now they fix their other debacles, and don't tell me that there's nobody innocent here. We made that very clear, I mean, throughout that whole meeting, whatnot, there's nobody that's innocent here. So at any rate, ultimately, when that happened, now Mr. Rupee says, where's your second quote? So we got Knife River thinking we're gonna fix the job, or actually do it for the first time, and we can roll right into doing that, or whatever. And then our attorney says, no, even in this case, you have to have a second quote. Well, here's where we go down the rabbit hole again, where the second quote comes in from a whole different vendor, whatever, you know. And ultimately, they do that. And they get it done, and it looks wonderful, it looks great. We don't know if it's gonna last. That has nothing to do with how good or bad of a job this vendor did, or how good or bad of a job the Knife River did to put the first one down. Because they came in and they put their stuff over what Knife River had already had, and we saw blemishes in what Knife River had. Right? So now, all of a sudden, Knife River's off the hook to say, well, they've covered something up or whatever, so we're off the hook. Zero warranty. Storm River's the same way. They put the new asphalt on the top of that, they're off the hook. They don't know what Knife River did, and there was zero soil corrections besides that. This was an in-depth deal here, whatnot, because
Okay.
we were getting the brass tacks of what's happening. And so anyway, ultimately, the moving forward, it needs to be determined, are we going to patch something or are we going to reconstruct it? Because there's very little in between.
Well, Mayor, may I? Okay, so the pre-con meeting, that, they were supposed to be here, that wasn't a courtesy. They were supposed to make sure, because as their project manual stated, that we're gonna have two different rubbers. All the material is supposed to be here. The special aggregate, all that stuff was called out by Al and Zach at the pre-con meeting. So they were supposed to make sure that whatever that bid was, what their project manual stated for the crack sealing, chip sealing, all would have been here and in-house. And the manual said September 15th was a deadline to get this done. They didn't start till September 8th. So that 3-week gap sat there after they knew about it. That's what I was trying to point
Part of
out.
that 3-week gap
They were
was
only supposed to do
they were
the-
trying to figure out what the aggregate was. So suddenly we spec'd an aggregate, whatever, that MnDOT don't know what it is, that engineer don't know what it is, and for whatever reason, I said, you know, Seal Pros, they botched the bid. They did. They didn't look at it. This is a problem as well. Hence why I started this out by saying, with as many anomalies as we've had, we're gonna have to think twice next year when we think about who's gonna be doing our seal coating, whatever, or crack sealing, I mean, and those kind of things. Do we wanna go through this again? You know what I mean? Because I don't think that we do. You know what I mean? So anyway, but now we found out something. We learned something. We learned that, you know, maybe we get what we pay for.
Well,
And so at any rate, but besides that, so 3 weeks just can't be thrown at Hawkins and Anderson as far as I'm concerned, because they were there. And getting all the stuff here, having it all on here, I'm not sure that's the engineer's onus either. That's gonna be, well, Andre Seal Pros in this case. You know what I mean? If we're starting, they would have found all the stuff and got it and had it here. So I don't know that it's
well,
the engineer.
that's their project manual, so that's what I was calling out here. I mean, we're only supposed to, in-house, Public Works was only supposed to inspect it once they started doing the routing, sealing, all that stuff. That was our only job. All the material, everything was supposed to be here. And I had conversations that, hey, we gotta get the ball rolling here, because the project manual says the 15th. And there was delays, and Mr. Walker and Zach were here calling that out at the pre-con meeting. I mean, we voted on the special aggregate, we added it there. So that's all I'm saying is that that 3 weeks elapsed before we do it. And then with the 278th and the 123rd, I believe there was, you guys told him to keep the extra dirt there, right? Al? So all that was supposed to do there, but they just went ahead and Mr. Kine did a change order on his own without knowing. So that's where that is.
Well,
Regardless,
yeah, in order to move forward, you know what I mean, with Hawkinson Anderson, I'm gonna promote that we have another meeting with the council and Hawkinson Anderson. So you'll be able to say all of that, if that's what you want, we need to get down to the bottom brass tacks. And I told him, I said, if going into this project, so I would say that, well, that would all be speculation. So moving forward here, we need to have all of these things in writing. Literally, if this is the case and there's ever gonna be, I will never be a proponent of, I'm just gonna say this is me, about me. I will never be a proponent of trying to take in the project management of a thing like this, because it's not just going out and doing inspections. It is project management. That's part of what they were doing. That's part of what they bid $25,000 to do. And again, here we go, another reason, I guess, from your admission here now, if we thought that all we need to do was go out and do a few spot inspections here and there, I'm beginning to see even more reasons why this didn't work.
well, I mean, that's the city council's decision, but I mean, is Hawkinson Anderson gonna be out there 24/7 babysitting them?
That's what they said they would do. That's this entire project, whatever, that number, 25,000, that was a number to put somebody out there babysitting the whole thing. That was right from Shane's mouth. He said that at that meeting.
And
I'm not making things up. That was what
And
he
then the
said.
other thing I just want to elaborate on, when I reached out to him because we were late in the game with Seal Pros and we were having issues here, I asked as our engineer and our vendor, what are the precautions? What are the next steps? That's what I was asking for, because I haven't been in this particular situation. And as a vendor and a contractor, I would assume you would like to help your client out as much as you can. And that's what I was asking. I'm going, what if they don't finish the job correctly? What do we do next as an engineer? That's all I was asking them.
Well, and like today, you know, I mean, it kept going, because, I mean, Al called me that, and about the asphalt temperature being too
I
cold,
saw the email.
whatnot, to be able to put this on here. And according to the email that we'd gotten from Andre, they have crack sealed whatever right into December. According to what Andre said, we read it in the same, all of us read that same email. Right, so I don't know what happens. I would think that putting down 400-degree stuff, whatnot's probably gonna, at this temperature anyway, is probably gonna warm the asphalt. But if it's not, then rather than calling Sam saying, hey, what do we do, and which way do we turn at this point in time, we're managing the project. Call him off. Tell him, stop, Andre, stop. This is it. You know what I mean? It's too cold. We feel it's too cold here, whatnot. Otherwise, if you were gonna keep going, whatnot, then by God, you're gonna absolutely warranty this, because when it all comes peeling out of the road, whatever, in January with the snow, you know what I mean? You're gonna have to come back and do it. Redo it. What I mean? So if we're gonna manage the project and take it in-house, we gotta take it all in-house. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, but in the case today, because the other thing that they had said, you know, emails, everybody gets it. If you get 75 emails in a day, your day is gone, right? I mean, I've spent the whole day trying to answer all them darn emails, right? So today we got calls from Al and emails with Joan to Sam and all this stuff, whatever, and trying to get all of this done. And that just has a fear and a connotation of rolling right back into this. Again, why I'm saying that it just doesn't seem to be working, because if we have concerns about that, we're managing projects. They're doing it for us, whatever, tell them to stop. Call Andre, whatever, if he's out doing that, we'd tell him stop, absolutely stop. Rather than digging that. And then what did Hawkinson Anderson do? They went and dug into the project, or the product details, and I'm gonna go SDS sheets, whatever, and descriptions and all of that, and sent back to said, yes, we would suggest that you be very careful and very concerned about the asphalt temperature and the hopper temperature, whatnot, of the rubber. know what I mean? And here, to me, I'm just gonna say, this is this is what we would expect them to do if we had a really great relationship. I don't think they're gonna send us a bill for doing that, whatever. Yep, we agree with you. Now, since I'm not the road guy, I have no idea ultimately what happened. Did they keep going? Here to there at this point. But as we move forward, and I think we've kind of gone from the recap of the engineer meeting. If you have any more questions, anything, the other question that you had directly for them was, do they have the staff to do this? To handle what Baldwin's got coming up? Yes, they do. You know what I mean? But it's really hard to get called, they were not hired to manage this project. Do that in-house. So whether we wanted to do just inspections, whatnot, or manage the whole project, maybe that's an internal conversation that we need to have about what does that consist of?
Mr. Mayor, the one thing they did emphasize, they can do that, but they need a heads up. They can't get called late in the game to take over or be involved in a project that they had no intent, were told they weren't gonna be involved in. They need a heads up so they can assign staff and figure out that, because they have other projects and other things they're doing that staff is already assigned to, and that was one of their concerns.
And I totally understand. I was just asking them if this went a roost, that this project, it was coming down to, that's what I was asking. What are the next steps? That's all I was asking them. Because we haven't been in there. Wasn't asking them to, finish. I was just asking their advice.
Well, and I'm just gonna say that I believe they were in a position for how it had all gone to that point, that was probably a final straw. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, hey, tell us what to do. And I think they could tell us and they would be able to, but I don't know that they could have given us an answer that would have made anybody happy. You know what I mean? At that very moment, ad hoc, well, here's what you do in situations like this. Because I'll be quite honest with you, I don't think they've ever been put in a situation. You know what I mean? Yeah, vendors that fall on their nose or whatever and doing those kind of things, whatever. You know what I mean? But to have it go down the way it went down with our involvement now. And then the other part of that was, emails. We need to try and find a way to streamline the communications with them. And so what I told them, that what I'd like to see, my vision here now, is we are literally going to have whatever it is, construction-wise or maintenance-wise, ready for next year, whatever that number is gonna be. They'll do the designs, they'll do these kind of things, whatnot. We'll go out for quotes, bids, whatever, however it turns out to be, whatever. In February, March, that kind of a thing, whatever, da. And then it's on the books. There it is. These are the projects that are gonna happen. Road projects and those kind of things, I'm gonna vote for them to manage these projects. Doesn't work, doesn't fit. Doesn't fit what can be a blend into what other vendors and the way they operate and run their businesses, right? To do this, no, leave us alone, you're too expensive. But now what do we do, right? So, and until we get better than that, you know what I mean? I don't see that we bring things in-house. But at any rate, by the time we get February, March, and open bids in February, say, or so, you know what I mean? We're already gonna know what's gonna happen. What I mean, and then I've also said too that, we have 36 square miles of the city to maintain, right? And we've got 2 guys at this very moment to do it. Right? And if either one of those guys are off busy chasing down and running around and doing whatever, then the other one's standing there wondering what to do, while the other one is chasing around or whatever, trying to, do all these other things, and we're missing it. I can show you a bunch of pictures of things, whatnot, that business park here. We got signs that are bent over. We got signs that are buried out in the brush. We've got residents, whatnot, that are going out, clearing out stop signs and doing all the brushing and things like that. So that stuff's not getting done, right? You know what I mean? Because
We don't know what we don't know.
I'm not saying you do or don't. But the other thing I can say too is all the running around and inspections would have gotten to all of these ideas and these places and things. It didn't happen. Tom, what I'm getting at is it didn't work. It didn't work. You know what I mean? It absolutely didn't work. So moving forward, to make it work, whatever, I think when we get to projects, especially of this scope, having the professional, I keep pointing here because that's where the engineers, but to have the professionals in there doing that and managing it, whatever, we're gonna be far better off in the end.
Well, That's number 4, but my question is, one of my other questions is, can they take constructive feedback? Because I'm gonna be here 14 more months.
Oh, absolutely they can.
And I'm gonna, as the road supervisor, and we spent $281,000.
Well, here we go again. That's part of it.
No,
We've gotten, Tom,
not-
hang on. I'm getting so sick and tired of hearing you say that, right? Because it's the
What,
same
I'm saying
thing
the
over and
facts?
over and over and over again. $281,000. We've got the engineering done on 100th Street.
I'm not
We've got the
questioning.
We've got, yeah, but not when
I'm
you
just
talk
saying
like
what we
that.
spent it on.
Here's
The
your-
city,
here's-
the city
here's-
has voted, Jay, for that.
Here's your drum beat, Tom.
So-
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Okay.
Right? Here you go again, right?
As a
There's-
road
there's ways
liaison,
to
I'm
deal.
cautious of the taxpayers' dollars.
There's hope.
We
Geez,
need-
so am I.
We need to budget more money if we're gonna go down that road. When you got 700,000 the road and bridge and you're spending over 40% of it on engineering, that's an issue. I'm pointing it out. I'm not questioning what they're doing. We're paying them for the road projects.
So, Mr. Mayor, so we have professional service engineers. We pay them to know what they're doing. The question is, and I understand there's a cost to this. The problem is that if we have engineers that are uncomfortable with how they're being dealt with or what projects we're getting into because of the multiple emails or, asking them their professional advice and then being unhappy with that at times, we have to figure out how we're gonna go forward, because frankly, we went to that meeting to talk to them, because I don't wanna see that fourth engineering firm in 5 years. And if it would have been fourth engineering firm, it's not all on the engineers. We have to look ourselves in the mirror and how we're conducting business and how we're treating our professionals that we hire for their advice.
I wasn't treating them bad. I was just pointing out, we paid them to do road projects. I get that.
I understand that you believe you weren't treating them bad, but they did not feel comfortable with how you were treating them.
Well, then, I'm sorry, then we shouldn't have them. I'm not walking on eggshells as a city council member. It is my job to manage the money. We have spent $281,000,
treat them
which we paid.
respectfully.
I have. How did I call them? I'm just pointing a fact. We got $700,000 in the road and bridge. The board has voted on this. I'm not saying they're not doing their job. We have spent $281,000. This is a city council thing. And if we need more money, we have to allocate that because we can't sustain this amount. We can't get
And
road
I don't
projects
disagree
done.
with if
That's
we
what I'm
need to
calling out.
allocate
I'm
more
not
money.
slamming
but
them.
You drumbeat that money we were spending on engineers almost every meeting. You were drumbeating that, and that's what they were hearing. And in that
Obviously, they
respect,
can't take-
Tom, in that respect, when you have those conversations and you drumbeat on how much they cost for everything they're doing, and they're sitting here at the table, it sounds like you're getting beat down because you're asking me to do my job, but you don't want to pay me to do my job. I'm just telling, if you're gonna have them be our engineers, you need to treat them respectfully.
I have treated them respectfully.
But
They're our client. If I'm questioning them on projects, obviously they can't handle constructive feedback.
so we should go to a fourth engineering firm.
No, I'm just saying, if they can't handle, I'm not walking on eggshells up here with them. If there's projects that I see as a road supervisor 2 now, Al's number 1, I'm gonna continue calling them out on it.
Well, I'll be frank with you, this 1 and 2 isn't gonna happen, because they aren't gonna be working for us if 1 and 2 is that way.
Well, then RFP for a new engineer. That is ridiculous that they want to just talk to certain city council members and they don't want to talk to the road guys? Give me a break. Come on, that is ridiculous. I thought you pointed that out at the meeting.
I did.
And if they don't want to work with me and Al as the road contacts,
They don't wanna work with you, Tom.
okay, then that's their problem. I'm a city council member, I'm not going away.
Well, I'm not saying you go away from the
And
city
I haven't
council, but I do
disrespected
not
them.
believe you should be involved in the roads
Okay.
because of that reason. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
The facts are the facts. They do not want to work.
Well,
I don't.
well, then I don't want them as an engineer if they don't want to work with me. If they have a problem working with us, I'm not going
At a
down.
city council meeting. you
We're
can
the
say-
client.
At a city.
We're the
council meeting,
client.
I understand that, but we need to, we also, they have other vendors that, and that the contractors they need to work with. They need, and they're just trying to tell us their advice. They were not comfortable working here anymore because they were afraid of being in a lawsuit.
Okay, well, then there also were a couple working with me, which is an issue. And I think as a city council, you would support all your city council officials. I would support you, I would support you.
Tom, you have my support.
Obviously, they have a problem with me, they don't like the constructive feedback.
I told him, I said, my words, check me if I'm wrong, Scott, check me if I'm wrong. I said, nobody's walking on eggshells here.
Yes,
We're not gonna do that. We have to get over that. You know what I mean? And they were willing to move forward and get over that.
okay,
That's why we're gonna have another meeting here, whatever, with them. You can say whatever you want. If they get up and walk out, well, we're stuck. You know what I mean? If they, whatever, that is it. We're gonna have to find somebody else. That's the way it's gonna wind up being. You know what I mean? But if not, then not.
okay.
This is it. You know what I mean? And some of the changes, things that need to happen, we'll talk with the rest. Next one, I think we've recapped the meeting and we've killed that.
Yes.
Discussion and communication with the engineers. You know what I mean? You know how it goes. If you have 5 people telling you what to do or asking you what to do, you don't know which direction to go. You know what I mean? So literally, I think we need one person. We've had it. When I was the road guy, that was me as the road guy, was the contact with the engineer. Right? That was it. So ultimately now we can rein all that in, understand what the projects are, what the things are happening, whatever, and have one person to be speaking. What we told them at that meeting now was send it to Joan. She will make sure that it gets sent to the proper people so that they have one contact. This doesn't mean you can't talk to them. This doesn't mean you can't email them. But again, we'll go back to, emails. If you send them 25 emails or 5 emails from 3 different people, you know what I mean? Then everybody's gonna wonder what's going on and we're gonna get chased around, right? And then nobody's gonna get anything done and everybody's day is gonna be used up and eaten up.
Well, I think the email exchange should go to Joan and then Al and myself as a role contact. He's the role contact number 1, I'm 2.
I think there are too many emails. I think a weekly recap, unless there's an emergency reason to contact them, you could just do the contact once a week. I don't see the reason to every day be sending them emails. My Frank.
Well, and I would think too that if, let's just say, for instance, whatever, like today, you know what I mean? If they were managing this and it was still going on as long as it is, this particular project, that would have been between them and Seal Pros. Hey, it's too cold, don't do this today. We wouldn't have had to lift a finger. Everybody else can go on with their days. Al wouldn't have had to call me, I wouldn't have had to take phone calls. Joan wouldn't have gotten emails, whatnot, da-da-da-da, right? This is part of what those dollars paid for managing the project ultimately. They would do that. And if they decided not to do that, well, then they're on the hook along with Seal Pros if it's too cold really to do it and they do it anyway. Right? And so the other part of that too about us bringing things in-house is we have no recourse, none, zero, zip, nada. You know what I mean? So if we have an engineering firm doing this like that, whether, pick one, you know what I mean, doing that, whatever, they also have this liability policy. So if something does go wrong, they have a way to make it right. We don't have anything like that, other than more tax money,
Well,
more tax dollars.
that's discussion further down there.
Well, it can be, but it also fits here, because this is the part of the communication. No, this is part of the communication. Because now, all of a sudden, Al was talking to Sam, I don't know if Zach talked to Sam, I don't know if he did or not. Al talked to Sam, I know that, Joan talked to Sam, whatever, you know what I mean? And now, all over is the asphalt too cold to crack seal. So we gotta figure out a way that if we do need to call them and talk to them, I'm gonna tell you, we better be able to call them and talk to them. This is what I also said to them, you know what I mean? But do it in a way that we're not chasing each other and we're not sending email strings and all.
I totally get that. I haven't talked to them since our workshop on September 23rd.
I'm not saying you did, Tom. I'm saying
I haven't been
this is
in
what needs to
communication with them.
Mr. Mayor, and one thing Shane did say, he would much prefer a phone call than multiple emails, because he can have the phone call, get it done, be done. And that's how he would prefer to have that happen.
Or even follow it up with an email so everything is.
So Al can talk to him. And then I'm just saying, if there's email sent, I just think it should be sent to Joan and then CC the road 1 and 2 contact.
I think it
That's
should
all I'm
go to the
saying.
whole council.
Well, I think Joan will forward it,
That's what I'm saying.
so, to the council.
All right, number 4, discuss detailed job descriptions of Public Works Director. As we were going through all of that and doing all these things, Joan and I talk generally several times a day. If I didn't have a job that allowed me the leeway to be able to do the things that I do at this point in time, I couldn't do this job as mayor. I couldn't do it. You're finding that out. You're getting around. You're trying to talk in a flippin' dump truck, whatever, while you're driving, trying to get this figured out. Okay, now, as a township and all the projects that we'd had moving forward with all of those kind of things, whatever, it was easy for us to have the onus on us as individuals and individual board members, whatever, to be the liaison of the roads guy, talk to the engineers, do these kind of things, whatever. Well, we also watched, as soon as we became a city, suddenly there was 13 people vying for these 5 seats. And so I'm just gonna say, of the 13 that we knew of, would any one of them or any of them, and as moving forward farther, have the time to do the hands-on work that we're doing? I don't think so. You look at any other city council, their elected officials, whatever, that come in and expect staff up to wazoo to be handling all the things that need to happen. Right, and they're gonna make decisions and they're gonna go home. Princeton's meeting, 40 minutes tops. Zimmerman's meetings, 25 minutes, the last one I looked at the minutes for. Right, you know what I mean? Because they come in to make decisions and they move on. The people are taking care of the town and the people take care of the city. Now, I'm very afraid because up till this very point, we'd always be worried about, and I still am, the tail wagging a dog. All of a sudden, designing a department, designing a something that ultimately begins to run the city. And so this here is to create a position, and the job description to create a position for a public works director. This person, we had, because I think as we go forward, all the city council members, Joan is the clerk, are gonna be relying on this person to pretty much take care of all the stuff that we've just been beating each other up over tonight. And bring it to the council for their decisions, whatever that might would be. Right? And so what I've done and what I would do, and this is discuss detailed jobs. So I took one that had been done, I think Patrick Hudson whatnot had started this some years ago, whatever. And I think everybody has this. I had Joan print it out and give it to everybody. And sans the Baldwin Township needs to be changed to the city. Those kind of things which are dotted throughout all of this. You know what I mean? I think that, I don't think we're gonna have all decisions made and everything taken care of at this meeting tonight. But what I would like to do is I would like to, I don't know if you had a chance to read this. This has been out and given to us for quite a while. You did?
Yeah.
Excellent. You know what I mean? There are some things in here, if we not necessarily start at the beginning, but number 10 here, if you look at the essential major areas of accountability, whatever, you know, analyzes and recommends when appropriate rates or charges for goods or services sold or performed by the town to outside entities. I don't think that's a realistic one. Well, that's something, I mean, if we're gonna fill pools, whatever, you know, the fire department's gonna tell us, you know, what it costs to do that, and the council, whatever, is gonna make that decision. Public Works Director's gonna do that. And if all of a sudden something happened, whether it be plowing in an emergency or something we would do for some other town or other city, whatever, because we had the capabilities of doing it, I don't think it would be the Public Works Director necessarily, it would ultimately be the council. So, what do you think?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I got a few questions here. One, I'm not in favor of anything with sewer.
Well, we'll get there.
So,
I've
and then,
got that all marked up here as well.
and then two, where's the money gonna come for this job position in the budget? Because this is gonna be, I'll just throw it out there.
This number that we're going to look at from Liz on Tuesday night or Wednesday night, I mean, sorry, whatnot. It's a $49 increase here, whatever. This is the new one. Because we needed to know what it looked like in the budget, there's $36,000 in this number that was added to cover the cost of the Delaney Dewey study for municipal liquor, and an $80,000 number for this position.
Oh,
So that's what's in here at this point in time. So how are we gonna pay for it? It's in here if we want it to be. If we're gonna get beat up and we're gonna get, first of all, I'll tell you here, right here and now whatnot, I'm not gonna continue. I absolutely can't.
Well,
If we're not gonna move forward in some kind of like this, we're gonna find out, not tonight, but we're gonna find out very soon, whatever, and you'll see me begin. Not gonna be able to continue. Yes, that would be the cost to the taxpayers, an increased cost to the taxpayers for both of those things. But I think both of those things are very essential. Because as we leave this table and other people get voted in, whatever, whether we run, whether we give up, whether we do whatever we do, you know what I mean? This part of it, this job needs to be in. Needs to be here. It needs to have a budget that this person is gonna be accountable for. We can make up the first budget, they can help make up the whatever the budget needs to morph into as we go, but the dollars, literally the dollars, we don't have that right now. Right now, what we have is, I think, in all the years I've been here, about 120K is what it takes to do the snow plow. The winter months, whatnot, is about 120,000. That's wages, that's breakdowns, that's salt, that's sand, that's fuel, that's, the trucks running, all of that kind of thing, whatever, we know that. But have we ever broken that down into any kind of detail? We haven't had to. I think we need to. I think we really do need to. We're doing everybody a disservice by what we think it's about that. Right? Okay, so now, Tom, you talked budget, so now we're going down the budget road.
I'm just asking where the money's coming
I'm
from.
telling you, right here, it's in here. It exists in here if we approve it. If we don't approve it, then it's not here, right? We haven't approved it yet, but it's in here.
No, because it's this discussion tonight, but Mr. Mayor, for me, I got a different vision of Public Works. So can you give me a few minutes?
Well, anyway, yeah, I would, yeah, okay, yes, yeah, let's start with that.
Okay, so my vision is we said as we ran, that'd be business as usual as a city.
Yep,
We have a public works supervisor and we have a maintenance worker one, whatever you want to call them. I'm not in favor of any stormwater. That is not the responsibility of the taxpayers.
stormwater or sewage?
Sewage, like Frontier Trails, anything like that. I think personally, we keep it as status quo and we backfill. Phil's gonna be retiring in a year and a half in that time frame. So I think, I do agree, we need more staff, that we need to get somebody in there and take the 80,000 that you budgeted for this to go ahead and backfill his position, start somebody off at $25 an hour, it's $52,000 a year, and then you get seasonal help and train that person in, and just keep things as is. We've been doing this. My vision is to bring stuff in-house to save money. And that's where I'm gonna go. So I think this is the reverse role. Start looking for his position and then start getting a seasonal person in here. So for this Public Works manager, I'm not in favor of it, and what I just said and the reasons why, so you won't get my support on this. So I'll shut up and be quiet. I don't know if you want to ask the other council members?
Yeah, that really needs, that's part of the discussion, because, I mean, if it's not, then I guarantee everything's gonna fall apart. We'll literally be starting with needing to spending another 100,000, 120,000, something, whatever. of
How are we
somebody
gonna,
here Getting to know us.
no, how is the engineer? They said they're willing to work with us.
Well, they are so far, yeah.
So
But
by
if we're gonna-
hiring somebody is gonna make,
If
it's
we're
not
gonna
gonna
leave
change the
everything
world?
status quo, Tom, that's the same. That means we're not gonna change anything. And if we're not gonna change anything, then the possibility is this will roll right into the same.
If they have a problem with me, I'm not the road's contact person no more.
Well, okay,
So I just don't
I
under,
really wish Mr. Holm would be here.
I wish so
because
too.
I would, we could get kind of an idea of a quorum, but Al, how do you see things?
Well, I'd like to see the maintenance department stay the way it is, but hire another guy and start training them now while we got the opportunity, and still have a summer help, because summer help we're gonna need for sure.
No, I agree with the summer help and the winter help, and obviously Phil's gonna be out of here pretty quick. And so to replace somebody, I would like to see that, whoever that somebody is, work alongside Phil and figure out what he's got going and that kind of thing. Up to speed, no doubt about it. But I really don't feel comfortable in hiring that person, whoever that person would be, under the system. So I think there needs to be somebody here that has the title of Public Works Director. I think that we need to put together an application like this, a job description like this, and then we need to advertise and we need to bring
well,
somebody that has the some schooling, because there's training, some of that is in here. For some of the things that we're going to need, that has the ability to run crews of people, that has experience doing exactly that, and what we watched it all fall apart, whatever, during this seal
but,
process.
okay, I'll let you finish, sorry.
That was the last straw for me, and I'm going to tell you right here and now, it is not working.
Mr. Mayor, may I speak? I'm in favor of hiring somebody because we know Phil is retiring. I'm in favor of having somebody at some point, but I do agree that we need that overall supervision in place so the top down is directed. I don't foresee us expanding I don't want any more frontier trails. We got that. I don't want any more of that, but I do think whoever's in there needs to have the ability to have that license so they can oversee that with the MPCA. If we have an issue, they can say, okay, now, I don't think that's an extensive thing, but I do think we need somebody who has some of the schooling and 2-year degree or something in that long, and I know that's just a learner's permit, that doesn't do it, but along with the other experience, that would bring them up to snuff. I think at some point, whether you want to keep it or not, we are not a township anymore, we are a city, and we've got a population that is 7,200 and growing with a whole bunch more homes getting put in. The fact is that we are not going to stay with a 2-person maintenance department. It's not going to stay that way, whether you want it to or not. That's not the reality going forward. And when there's a new council, they're going to have to do something then. It'd be nice for us to have the ability to set this up, in a thoughtful, correct manner prior to being under the gun later on with a different council. I'm not going to be here a long time either. I think I would agree with the mayor on this, that yes, we need to get that supervisor's position set up and that staffing line, and Public Works Department needs to get the coding done for the budgeting, which I'm willing to help with the coding. It's not difficult. If you stay within the budget, you'll be able to save that money if you understand where your budgets are. That's my thought, so.
So, I mean, for me, Mr. Mayor, I see it as is, this backfill Phil's position. I mean, you gotta realize the maintenance department is the most micromanaged department we have. They give the public works report on a monthly basis. They have 7+ years of Excel spreadsheets tracking their time. So we have all this. And just because, and there's other projects that we've done. It was pointed out by Public Works on 278th and 123rd. That one was pointed out by Mr. Good, vendors. Southern Pines repairs they did. The crack sealing project, they did 14 miles of it in-house. Yes, we're talking not the management piece of it with Seal Pros. They RFP parking lots for Goose Lake and all this stuff. The lighting over at Young Park.
Tom,
Oh,
we all get those things that they do, but we never gotten an accountability out of it. So in the year's time, do we know how many, does the rest of the council know how many hours they do it? We get this report, but that
Yeah, we can
doesn't,
break it down, they have it.
well, I've asked for it before and I haven't gotten it. So no. I have asked for the year, what do you do in a year? What do you do monthly? What parts of the year do you do the mowing and, where, so we account for that in that budgetary process. I haven't seen it to know what they do, other than we get that monthly report, which that doesn't really stick in your mind, because I don't have a annual thing that this is what we did for, normally we do this in January, it takes us many hours, and February, or quarterly, that kind of thing. It's not, you had said 7 years of time. I haven't seen any of that. I haven't.
Well, I
If
didn't
you
know.
have it, if you say it's, you
Ask
have
us,
it,
or
you
did you
say you
ask
have it,
Public
please
Works?
bring it to council so we can see what it is.
Did you ask Public Works or did you ask us?
I thought I was supposed to ask you.
Well, it's the first time I'm hearing this. What
No, you just said you had 7 years of
Yeah, we
that.
have 7 years, but I didn't know you wanted this historical data. That's what I'm,
asking for, how many hours do we need to staff?
well,
Now, you're
we
telling me you have that number.
have that number. Yes, it's all in the
Let's see
spreadsheets.
it. This is gonna help.
Okay,
This is
well.
gonna help a bunch.
Okay, I'm just telling you, but I'm just saying that, I look at this, we ran as business as usual, became a city, okay? We need accounting help too, not just public works, I'm not getting sidetracked, with accounting too as well.
With
Accounting, like a finance person in background. Accounting, yes, finance, okay, in here, we need things, but I think Public Works, I won't be in favor of this position. I think it is, we backfill that. What, is that what I'm hearing from you, or you will?
But we have not, neither one of, I think we're all in favor of adding the position to take over Phil, it's just the timing.
And getting a Public Works Director in here, it's not gonna be $80,000. It's gonna be more than that.
That's a budgetary thing, we'll figure that out. We're just talking over the job description. At this point, the way I'm reading it, we're just talking over the detailed job description of the Public Works
I
Director.
really-
We're not talking the budgetary
I
thing.
really wish he was here because
We all wish he was here.
it sounds like it's a 2-2.
We're not voting on it.
No, I know,
We're having
but
a
I'm just saying-
discussion.
Yep.
And it says right here, discuss the detailed job description. So let's talk about, because you're gonna have to have that job description at some point, because you don't believe 20 years from now that we're not gonna have a public works director, do you? Honestly?
I think as we grow, we're gonna have something in the future, but right now.
Why not have it prepared? And we can amend it when we actually do hire, but why not have it prepared
We got
for
to,
what we think about now?
I think we have a lot of things, like a city administrator, a finance director.
We-
I think
I
we
don't-
have a lot of
I
things.
don't
Why
know
don't we
that we're-
start planning for those?
I don't know that we're to that point, and that is not what we're discussing according to this. We're discussing the public works director. Why can't we discuss the public
We can
director?
discuss it. I'm not in favor of voting it. I think we should
But-
backfill it.
Well, don't you think that there should be some things on here now that we need answers to, that we need a person capable of doing?
I think we have somebody in-house for that, but obviously you guys don't, so I'm not gonna go down that road, so.
Well, at this point in time, then, I guess if that's the case, then, so you don't want to go over this, because would you agree or disagree that the primary objectives of the person, because if we leave it the way it is, then what you're telling me here is you and Al, because you're 1 and 2 at this point in time, whatever, to be the public works directors.
No, what I'm saying is,
Okay, so if you're not saying that, then are you saying
I think-
who or what? Do you think that any of the things, because you said you read these, do you think any of these descriptions and duties, whatnot, should be under the description of some one person in the city of Baldwin?
I think we have that one person, it's a public supervisor. What I think we need to do, it's further on the agenda, and what we run into is the expenditures. Cut the political tape, give him his $1,000 to run the day-to-day activities and do his job. I think that will alleviate a lot of things instead of sending emails to me and Mr. Walker, and then Joan, hey, I need a helmet for $60, can you approve it? I need grease for there. Let him do his job. Just like the fire department does their job when you need stuff. I know it's public safety, it's a little bit more obscure, but I think we have that person in-house, so I don't think we need to create a new public works director. He does a lot of this stuff as is. He doesn't have the wastewater treatment. I think we all voted over a year ago.
I see where this is going now. Okay, alrighty, well.
That's just my opinion.
No, I'm
You
gonna
gotta
tell you
talk.
that I disagree, because
Okay.
here we are again, in another year and another time, and we are having this conversation again. And I'm gonna tell you how screwed up I think it is, because in the almost 18 years that I've been doing this whatnot, I have never, ever had to authorize the purchase of a case of grease. What the hell is going on here? You know what I mean? What kind of games are we playing here? I don't get it. I don't understand it. Nobody knows what the other guy is doing, is why we gotta bring this down to one person that has this.
Give
And
him
from
the-
what I'm seeing in here, we do not have this person. I'm gonna tell you right now, we do not have this person here. And so, one thing that I did want to talk about, that I did want to cover on here, because you are very adamant against wastewater, and I know that you are.
Yes.
But what I'm going to say is, I don't know that we necessarily need to have this, but I can tell you that Zimmerman just hired somebody, whatnot. that came
$31.75,
With wastewater license.
maintenance one technician.
Correct, yes, exactly, with a
It
wastewater
took several
license.
months. I talked to Keith.
Yep, and so, and the other,
We have
and
7 people on staff that have
I
wastewater.
believe every one of them has a wastewater license.
You have 7
We
individuals.
were told in pretty much no uncertain terms that there was nobody here that wanted that. Right? You were adamantly against it, I know for a fact, whatever, but we were told that that nobody in our midst, whatnot, wanted this. Right? Wanted to do the wastewater. And the reason that I had always been so adamant about it is because we are now watching Frontier Trails. Frontier Trails is zeroing into a $200 a month sewer bill. And I do believe, and I had said the whole time, that I thought we could beat that up, and we did. We had Mr. Gwynn, we had a system in place, whatever, that we would be able to take that, and we would have been, what NSU is doing for us now, we would have been able to beat what the other one was. That just out of my mind, I'm sorry, can't think of the name. You know what I mean? The original
Iowa?
management, whatever, you know what I mean? But instead, we're not gonna do that, we're gonna go in a different direction. And literally, it just became beating my head against the wall, whatnot. What was I gonna do? You know what I mean? Obviously, it wasn't working. It wasn't gonna go, here we are. Okay, so now what we also ran into, Tom, is when we were doing the contract negotiations, whatever, for this, whatever, and actually when we did the RFP, we got one reply on that. We got one proposal.
And that's what I told you at the meetings. There's only 1 or 2 players that do it. Viola, which is in southern Minnesota, and NSU. I told you.
Exactly, that's the whole point. And so I think as a city, we have the ability to make it more affordable for them. And I think to have somebody on staff that could do that, that would be willing to do that, or came equipped with the possibility to do that, is only going to be an absolute savings for 41 of our residents. I know you're agreeing, I know you disagree with that totally, and that's fine, you get to, that's no problem. You know what I mean? But while you disagree with that, please understand that I also get to believe the way I believe it too.
Yeah, we disagree.
So I don't know that we have, right now, we have NSU in place. Contract signed, ready to rock, here we go, this is it. So we don't necessarily have to have wastewater, but if it does come in this, I don't think we turn it away.
Well, at this point, Mr. Mayor, from hearing the discussion here, I think it's, us two have a different vision. I'm not speaking for you, is that what?
Yeah, yeah, stop speaking for him. He's not, let him speak.
Let Al tell us what Al feels.
Okay.
I think we should let NSU do their job.
But the question is, what happens if NSU decides, we don't want to deal with these people anymore? Then where are we? And where are those 41 homeowners? If we had somebody in this,
I don't believe they would do that overnight. They would
again, but
heads up on something.
again,
Contract, they'd have to give us a warning.
yes, they have to give us a warning, but then we're right back to square one, starting over with this, where having this, we're at least ahead of the game. You hate playing catch-up all the time, and I feel like this city right now is playing catch-up. So. And this whole deal on the expenditures, I didn't understand why we had to see that whole list of stuff,
Because-
for God's sakes, just,
He doesn't have a expenditure.
Can I explain this?
$1,000, he could just go do that
Yes.
stuff.
and I'm not disagreeing with, let me finish. I'm not disagreeing with that. If you have your budget, you're coding it, you see that you're still under the budget, you buy that stuff and you have it there in bulk. If you buy it in bulk on that stuff, you save money. I just didn't understand having that whole thing in there, and what's the limit for the maintenance, liaison is $1,000, right?
2,500.
2,500.
For what-
Why couldn't you guys approve it? Why did it have to come to city council for that?
Can I, it's for emergency purposes, Scott, and then here's the thing.
Wait. You had a whole list of stuff. How was that that whole list was not emergency purposes?
The plow, all the equipment was.
Tell me every single thing on that list was emergency purposes.
Yeah, we had.
Everything on that list that was at the last city
All
council
the
meeting
equipment was, yes.
was an emergency
And
purchase.
you even said it's OSHA regulations. I wasn't unaware of it.
A case of grease was an emergency purchase.
Okay, here's the thing. We approve.
Again,
I'm telling you.
I don't have a problem with you buying it, but you
We
have
spent
that.
$400 to get a leak repaired, and the mayor wanted to see if we needed new tires. So he wanted to see all the expenditures. That's why it was on here.
That was, yeah.
That's why it's on there.
Wanted to see what all the expenditures.
We want to exceed the expenditures because we're micromanaged. Give him his $1,000, let him do his job, and then what if something happened?
So again, I still don't see how that's all, you said they were all emergency. I understand the mayor wanting to see the purchases, but that didn't qualify it as emergency purposes, that we needed to approve every single one of them.
Well, he wanted to
Have
see
the
all
2,500,
expenditures.
He wanted
let me
to see-
fin, you had the $2,500 limit. That's what budgeting's about. That's what you do. You go and you say, okay, go ahead and buy it. We didn't need to have a list of every little thing. I'm sorry, that just seems silly. It seems silly and it seems a waste of time of the city council.
Scott, I totally agree with you on that part. But here's the thing. Every time we're approving something, we got question on, is it emergency? Is it emergency? Is it emergency?
Did I question you on that?
No, but
Well,
other
then-
city council members have. So
Then
we
have the
put it-
liaison
we put
talk
it-
to the person who is
We
questioning.
put it on the agenda to make sure that all the expenditures we're doing. I totally agree with you. He needs a $1,000 limit to do his job.
Yep.
And there's all this political stuff. Because what we've been doing, how it's been working.
That sure sounded, that seemed political to me, putting it on the agenda. I'm sorry.
No, we put it on.
I'm
there.
sorry, it seemed political to
I
me.
agree.
No, oh, so now you're throwing it back at us when you wanted to see all the
Yeah, you wanted to
expenditures.
see
You've
the
seen that at a meeting.
Absolutely, I said.
So what do we want? We put it on the agenda to get it approved.
When it comes to tires
So
getting
get-
fixed on the
okay,
loader.
don't
that's
talk two
different than a
sides
case
here.
of grease.
Don't
That's
talk-
different than a case of grease.
No, no.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You wanted to
It is.
see all
That
the
just seems
expenditures
silly.
because there was a slow
Well, and
leak
at
on the
some point in
tire
time,
and
we
it
need to
cost
see all the
$400 to get them fixed twice. And then you wanted to see that we need a new set of tires. So that's why all the equipment repairs, these are these are trucks, our snowplow trucks, our front end loaders, our,
Stuff that-
the John Deere street sweeper. We needed all this because winter is coming upon us, and I don't want to be flat-footed. And the repairs are gonna take a while to get them into vendors and get them fixed. So that's why everything was on the agenda. So I'm just,
They're not emergencies.
we got question on everything, how work, Scott, is.
Again, I understand that, but it wasn't.
We would approve stuff. It comes to, as me, as a road guy, when I was one, anything that came here that he needed, I had to approve.
I understand that, but you weren't road
Joan
guy
was
on this
CC.
last one.
So that's why I'm saying, let him do his job, give him $1,000 limit, and this will eliminate it. I totally agree with you. I want to streamline the agenda. That's what I was trying to do all along, by approving these, but I was getting questioned every time I approved something. Is it emergency?
Again,
Do we
it
need
was-
that?
If we're gonna do that, we'd have to develop policy to do that, because we don't have policy in place that says any one of our maintenance people can make any expenditures with.
It's on his job description.
But what we do have is we have that, Al, in this case, it's Al is roads one. If things need to be bought, purchased, whatever that is, Al's got up to $2,500. But let's finish with this job description at this point in time, because I'm thinking it's futile at this point to try and go on any further.
You need Mr. Holm.
Huh?
I think we need,
Until we have Mr. Holmes. So I think that we need to have, gonna have to have a discussion at a meeting here, whatnot, probably a council meeting. I'd hope to get this nailed down. A workshop, but I don't have this on to add anything to any agenda at this point, so we can't. But I think we're gonna have to talk about this, moving forward. Again, it's not working. Here we are in this discussion, and it's still. So, let's move to the purchasing expenditure limits for the Public Works and the council liaison. I'm not ready, whatever, until we have literally a budget, how much grease, how many blades, how much lawnmower, how much stuff? Is it 10,000, 80,000, 150,000? What is it? What number is it that we are gonna say, this is what we need for the expenditures for whatever it is in an average year? And we can change it as we go from year to year, if it needs to be increased or decreased or whatever that is. But a number. You know what I mean? Right now, we know that our fire department's gonna be $180,000. So our fire chief, whatnot, has $180,000 at the discretion to make last a year and fund the fire department for that. Well, what do we need for the maintenance department? What number? Until we have that number, I'm not ready to give the maintenance, any maintenance person. I wouldn't even be ready to give, if we passed this and hired a person to do this, that ability, whatnot, without a budget in mind.
okay, we can work on a budget. There's so many things that come out of road and bridge.
What, and we all understand, we all understand that, but you still can code and you can still budget and you can hit benchmarks and get it in.
I would
there.
have to go to Mr. Good to get that stuff because he's the one who codes it for Joan, the key.
Well, and then the other part of this too,
So-
though, is do we want Mr. Good chasing all that stuff around, whatever? You know what I mean? Or do we want Mr. Good out doing the maintenance of the city? Because we have 36 square miles of city to maintain and 2 guys to do it. That's the way it works right now.
Well,
That's the way it is today. That's the way it is right now.
yep,
And if Mr. Good is back there on a computer, whatnot, pounding out a budget and all those numbers, whatever, you know what I mean? Then he's not out doing the maintenance of the town. And we have signs that are tipped over and covered in brush and things like that.
well, I think, we already beat a dead horse, but I think we have a person in-house to do this, in my opinion. And backfilling Phil's position gives him that extra stuff. But
And if we do bring on that person, which is not part of this discussion, well, not that person, but a person to fill in. I'm not in disagreement at all that we're gonna need somebody. I would like somebody in that position with Phil, but I would like to have the new system, whatever that is.
okay, so I'll ask you two guys, okay? Because our intention is not to put anything on the agenda. That was on there because of a slow tire leak and everything else. So I said, you know what? I talked to Mr. Walker. I said, let's just put it on the agenda because they want to see the stuff. I want to streamline the agenda. That's why we're approving this.
I didn't want to see this.
Think I want a $400 or case of grease on there?
I think that at some point is being, liaison or whatever, in charge of a department, there are certain things that you understand on your budget and what really should go to a city council. I just felt that was not it, so.
And then what I heard, Mr. Mayor, from the last meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, is until we figured out this expenditure, and then until you don't want to give Mr. Good $1,000 until we figure out what's going on with the
We
department.
need to get the coding not locked down.
So are you, from what I heard, correct me if I'm wrong too, is it, he's one, two, we have two city council members. So if we approve that, case of grease, more blades, whatever thing, under the, what limit, 25, 1,000? I'm only 1,000, he's 25.
Well-
We can approve that and CC Joan.
But, okay.
I'm just talking in the interim
So
until we
in-
figure
in-
this whole thing
in-
out.
In that scenario, how would that work? Is it $2,500 times however many times it's necessary? Or is
That's
it,
what I'm asking.
or is it 25? No, that's what I'm asking, because I don't know the answer to that. Right? And I think that ultimately we had a way, and I think Mr. Lawrence was the one that made the motion to peel it back, because as a township, especially back then, and it hasn't changed since then, but as that happened, whatever, the only ones that are allowed to authorize expenditures with the policies we have in place right now were the town board members, and now it's the city council members. Right? We do not have a policy that says, okay, maintenance department, you've got X. We don't have that. Right? We don't have that. And so what had always happened, and even after Mr. Lawrence had helped to change it to what we're living with now, it was going to be the roads liaison. Really, Al, you're the public works director. As number one, you're the public works director at this point in time. And you have to be the public works director at this point. Everything really needs to go through you as the roads guy. You know what I mean? That kind of a deal. So if we need tires fixed, if we need grease, if we need new batteries, if we need hoses, whatever that is, yes, that needs to be you. You can authorize that expenditure. And I don't know that verbally we're going to be able to nail that down tonight. You know what I mean? To be able to do that. But if we want to make it a policy for somebody else to do something, then we're going to have to make policy. Right now, the only ones that are authorized at this point in time, whatever, to talk to engineers, to talk to the attorneys, to talk to, engineers and attorneys, that type of thing, whatever, anything that could create bills. God knows attorneys and frickin' engineers.
Me and you are for the attorneys.
Yes, right? Right, so there it is, and we've always done that, we've always said we've done it that way and wanted to do it that way for transparency reasons, plus also too, if I know that signs are down, I'm not gonna call the maintenance, either one of the maintenance guys to do it, I'm gonna say, hey, Al, I got a sign down, by the way, Al, there's a sign tipped over up there behind the brush, right? That's all I need to do, kind of same thing with the fire department. Right? You know what I mean? I don't need to talk to anybody over in the fire department except the fire chief. Say, hey, this is whatever, and that's the way it works, right? So now Al has the ability to make these expenditures, to do these kind of things, whatever. The discussion that I want to have, which we seem to go astray when we do this, is how many times between meetings would we authorize $2,500? Because the way all of this started was, I'm not just gonna go and spend, there's a liaison, whatever, to Frontier Trails, whatever. I'm not just gonna authorize $2,500 anytime. You know what I mean? If it's not an emergency, it's coming to the council. Right? But if something blows up, a pump goes bad, something happens, whatever that would be, I have the ability to say, yes, these people don't have a sewer system unless this gets fixed, absolutely, $2,500. If it goes over that, sorry, if it's that bad, whatever, then as the mayor, whatever, I'd have to call an emergency meeting. We'd all have to get together and we'd all have to approve it. This is the municipal contracting law. This is how the dollars leave the coffers of the city. How they left the township for all those years, we were that. Nothing has changed that way. This is just how it has to be, right? You know what I mean? And so what I would like to say is if you have something like that, whatever, at the very most, if we want to say $1,000, you know what I mean? Or $2,500, how many times, if we have 17 emergencies, Al just spent $34,000. That what we want to authorize here? I mean,
Well, Miss,
'cause- and that's the conversation we need to have around this, right? If we want to take and we want to do something, okay, I'm talking in circles now. If we don't have the ability right now, in my opinion, whatever, to give our maintenance people really any authority at this point in time because they don't have that authority and we don't have that policy. Hang on, Zach. But if we want to do this, we can go to our Public Works liaison #1, our roads #1, whatever. That person could authorize that. And now if we want to take this a little bit further and say, hey, whether we code it or however it is that we want to do this, yes, we need to code it, it needs to be in part of the budget. If we want to say that, hey, you know, I mean, every month or a year or whatever, this is what it takes to run the maintenance department, whatever. Now that's between Al and the maintenance department on what they need to do, whatever. We can set a number at that point in time. If we start going crazy over that, then we have to ask questions. Hey, what happened? You know what I mean? Kind of a thing, whatever. And so that until we have policy that would even make this new position, if it ever happens, until we have policy that gives them the ability to spend money out of the coffers, we can't let them spend money out of the coffers. That's like Joan. Joan is the treasurer.
she's got 250.
And she's got $250 that she can do for the clerk, the business here, whatever, so that can happen. But if there's any kind of an expenditure, she's got to bring it to the council. The paychecks that I signed today, it takes my signature and hers on it. That's the way it works. That is just plain the way it works. I'm not trying to cut anybody off, turn anybody on, or do anything anyway. This is just the policies we have in place and the way things have to happen. Now, the crux to that, again, I'm talking in circles again here now, is, you know, how much are we going to allow? Yes, $1,000 because it doesn't take much of an expenditure to hit $1,000. It just doesn't. In this day and age, it doesn't. But how many of those, whatnot, are we going to say that they're going to be allowed to do, you know what I mean, either between meetings or before the council gets involved?
And Mr. Mayor, and when I was road contact, it was only change orders for road projects that I approved, that 2,500. All the other stuff I approved through email. CC Joan, she had it for the checks when you signed them. And I think, you know, if you don't want to give the Public Works $1,000 until we figure out this job description or policy purchasing, I say then up to $1,000, and anything over that will be brought to the city council. I think Al's pretty responsible. If he wants to approve that, he can approve that since he's a road contact 1 and continue that process. I don't know how many times a year, you know, because I don't want to see the stuff on the agenda to bog it down. I want to streamline it. But if we have to bring everything to the agenda, then, you know, I'm just throwing it out there.
I would hope that any of us on the city council, and we're in charge of something, we would not, Al is not gonna run, you know, 15 purchases of $24.99. I would hope that we're not gonna do that. I think it's reasonable to do it that way. I do think what we need to do is develop a policy and get a formal policy. You know, one of them is, as long as in your budgeting, in the coding, you have what your estimated budget is for that year of that section, say tires or whatever, and it's below that $1,000 level, you should be able to go ahead and take care of that in the policy that is developed. Get the policy developed. But once you hit your budget on that code, then you need to come through the liaisons, through either liaisons or to the city council, depending on what it is, to get actual approval for it, because you already exceeded your limit budgetary wise. And we need to keep those budgets, you know, we need to understand what our budget, what the budgets are in the maintenance department, the fire department, and that's why we do the coding, that's why we put the stuff in there.
I don't disagree with you, but on average, since it all goes to you, the code and stuff, how much do you approve on a monthly basis, would you say, for the fire department?
Well, it depends. It goes anywhere from a couple hundred to 1,000 or so. And some of it's been pre-approved by council, so that also, I still code that too, because
Okay.
if it's already been approved by council prior to that, that gets coded in there too, and I'm not, that gets a little muddled there.
It all has to get applied to the budget,
Yeah.
regardless of who approves it.
Well, I mean, we do got the purchasing thing here.
But it's a nice start, the guideline, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that I
Yeah,
disagree with.
it has city
And that's-
administrator
and I just disagree with a whole bunch of how they got it in here. But there are things that I think is appropriate, that, the purchasing level of authority to authorize or approve purchases up to $1,000 based on appropriations that came in the city's budget. That's a no-brainer, I think. If we do something like that and we do that in a policy, and I can take a look and then see if I can come up with a policy, and, that way it's across the board, and you can, whether you want to direct it, depending on the department, or you just do the department heads, or however you want to do it, that's fine, but we need something in place, so if we do hire somebody, if that as it grows, the policy's already there.
So how would you want going forward then, since we don't know about this position until Mr. Holmes here? Obviously, the purchase and procedure we're still working on. So how would you want the roads department then, since you don't want to give the public, from what I'm hearing, I don't want to speak for you guys, but you don't want to give the public works
It's not that I don't want to,
1,000?
it's that we can't,
Okay,
until we develop the policy.
Let's get I would say let's get going on a policy and get a policy developed, and that way we can get that approved before the first of the year. And the policy is a document that will work going forward. So make sure we don't limit ourselves to just like make sure we cover the situations. Because if we get the policy developed, we can get that to the attorney, and they can tell us all the things we did wrong with it, of course. But we get it corrected to the way, and we can put it in our policy manual, it's there, it's done, we're good. And we amend it as needed later on, but let's get something correct in there to start with those
so
numbers.
how would, until we get that policy in place, I like hearing that, but in the interim, for the rest of November and December, how would you want Mr. Walker approving?
Mr. Walker is the, he's
I just want to
the
make sure.
maintenance one, he cannot, that's, I think it would behoove Councilman Walker to contact the mayor if it's gonna be an excessive purchase, getting close to that, that kind of thing, so. But I do not think it needs to come before the whole city council. If it's under your limit and the mayor's aware of it, I don't think we need to have every little thing brought in front of the city council. And at least I'm kind of trying to be retired, and it's getting a little late for past my bedtime, so.
Both nights. Yeah, and moving forward to it, and if something big comes up, if it's a disastrous thing, above and beyond both of our pay grades, if you will, what I mean, then we'll call a special meeting and get it taken.
Yeah, if it's gonna go over 2,500, I'm for sure gonna call you.
I mean,
But anything smaller than that,
I would even say over 1,000.
oh, yeah.
well, yeah, now here we get with the same thing again. How many times? So, we're saying that, I've got up to 2,500 for Frontier. Well, so would you want to split that? Now I'm talking semantics. $1,000 was the first one. The second one comes at another thousand. Mr. Good, if you're not happy being here, if you're gonna sit there and shake your head back and forth at whatever and make ridicule of us trying to talk about this, then I'm gonna ask you to leave, because I don't particularly care for that demeanor.
I would really appreciate it if you didn't read too much into it. I'm processing what you guys are talking about.
Exactly.
And I'm really trying to understand.
And you're shaking your head and
I can
in
shake
ways
my
that
head
just
if
not
I'd
yet,
like to.
you most certainly may.
can. And I know that.
Most certainly may.
However, I'm just trying to understand more of where you guys are going with this, and I'm processing it. So please don't read too much into it. I'm very happy with the direction you guys are going. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyway, and so, you know, I think we have to have some limit, right? And part of this policy is gonna be some limit. So if Al's got $2,500 and he uses it, does he have another 2,500s right back to back to do that again if necessary? Or do we get to some limit where it says, no, we want to have council input? Again, if it's really an emergency, whatever that is, well, we're gonna have an emergency meeting. You know what I mean? And then when we think about what constitutes an emergency, right? You know what I mean? So technically, snow plowing ain't an emergency, right? Now, if a truck breaks down out there, getting it off the road and getting it somewhere to get it fixed or doing whatever, that becomes an emergency. Every time the fire department gets called, whatever, that's an emergency.
Mr. Mayor? The one thing I did kind of like about this is emergency purchasing. Is when an emergency occurs that may jeopardize public safety or the health and welfare of citizens, employees, department heads, or liaison, may authorize a necessary emergency purchase. That, I think that's a good starting basis for that, to understand what it is. If there's something that it's affects
Life and limb there.
public safety or the health, so if a stop sign is knocked down at an intersection and it's gonna cost, it's not going to, but it would cost more than the 2,500, guess what? That's an emergency, because you do not want a major traffic accident to happen there. Those are emergency purposes. Now, if it's something that can wait till the next day and nothing adverse is gonna happen, it's not an emergency. It's within the 24 hours kind of deal, and that needs to be reported to the mayor within 24 hours, that kind of thing. They have the city administrator in here. I don't agree with two competitive quotations on it, but
No.
they have some things that I like. That's one of the things, health and safety and public welfare. I do think if you hit the 2,500 limit in the month, then maybe at that point
Make a phone call.
we make a phone call and we go on, looking at that kind of situation. There are, and I think we developed that in the policy on, at what point then you bring everything else to the council. Because if we, like I said, you don't want 15 back-to-back bids of $2,400, or costs of $2,400. To just, so yeah, there is a way to do it, the $2,500 limit, and then 10,000 for the month max, or, something like that. So there is a max, no matter what happens, you can't spend that without having everything else come to the city council, that kind of thing. Develop it in the policy. And certainly it's something, I think it would streamline our meetings and if we get the policy done. I just, and I'm willing to work on it. It's certainly trying to find time at this point, so.
And all those things on the previous meeting with me and Mr. Walker were talking, I said what was an emergency, but the equipment purchases, I thought was an emergency because we couldn't wait till the November 17th meeting to put this on here. So that's why we put it on the November 3rd, because we don't know what's wrong with the front end loader, stuff like that, or
The only thing, Tom,
I wanted to get into the vendor to get it done and have it ready before the snow started flying.
The only thing I had was that of that whole list was everyone would that fit that definition of emergency purchasing. And I didn't believe it did, so.
And hence the reason for having a budget, so that we know that out of the year, whether we're gonna split it down as far as tires and shop supplies, whatever they might would be, you know what I mean? If we know that, let's just pick a number, it's small, but $12,000. That gives you $1,000 a month to live within, whatever comes up for maintenance. Maybe it's not 1,000, maybe it's 1,500. I don't know what that number is, but find out what that number is. Those are things that just happen. You know what I mean? If the worst comes to happen, now the way to actually make it transparent so everybody can see it happen does, you get the 8 purchases for $948, whatever they are. They ultimately go on the consent agenda, whatever, and we're not spending any time at it. Documented, here's where the dollars were spent, and that's how we, watch it and make it happen. That way, that doesn't even bite into what we're talking about, $2,500, quote, emergency expenditures. All the things that should have been in place for years, but that's, I guess, what I'm saying. You know what I mean? That way, wow, you know what I mean? If we had a storm or something, pick something, we can get all kind of crazy, whatever.
What,
You know what I mean? But of emergency expenditures, I think we're gonna be having meetings, anyway, about, hey, what the heck is going on? Did we have a big storm? And a lot of times, like this, even the emergency meeting that we had not long ago, whatnot, over all this, whatever, but anyway, that, when you look and you read the definition of emergency, whatever, life and limb and trying to, public safety and these types of things, whatever, right? And so, even thinking about 278th and 123rd, the culverts that started the problem, we had a washout of the culvert on 278th. The only emergency part of that, whatever, was to get that culvert shored up. Right, after that, then we wanted to try and get it fixed as far, and hell, we were all on board for, let's move this along, we got a culvert washed out, let's get it fixed. Well, the proof was, that was like the early beginning of July, right, when that happened. So the emergency, we satisfied right away by getting the culvert shored up, getting it marked here, whatever, and then it went all summer because of the follies and all kinds of other things, we beat that. But at any rate, right, and so now it's October when we're actually digging these out and changing it. So the emergency ceased right at the end. So, and I was talking with Bob a little bit too about how do you describe an emergency? Technically, and anything to be an emergency, you're gonna come, just like I did as the road guy, whatever, and they're gonna say, hey, I need a $1,800 or a $2,000 change order, whatever, because it makes sense, and it makes sense absolutely, because for black dirt, because they're all gonna leave when it's all done. If we don't approve the expenditure now, everybody's gonna leave, we're gonna have mobilization to get them back for $2,500 worth of black dirt. Absolutely makes sense. Is that an emergency, life and limb and that kind of a thing? No, absolutely. But it does make sense in order to be able to do that. But I don't know that we could classify that quote as an emergency. So, because it is, the technical definition is like, you read that, that's why Albertville's got that in. So, a budget and then the expenditures, and I would think at this point in time, you know what I mean, if you've got up to $2,500, I don't mean to know that that's every time. I think that if we have this approved expenditure limits, I mean, if we gave you, gentlemen, what do you think at this point in time? $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 a month?
I think I'm fine with whatever.
I think you won't get hurt that way. You know what I mean? I don't know, because, like the blades for the snowplows, right? You know what I mean? So even at that, it was explained to us that we had some, but this was to ensure that we had more. Case of grease, in fact, we had a case of grease and stuff, but we wanted to make sure that we had another one because that one was about to get used. Nothing was an emergency, but that, you just say, yep.
I don't have a problem with that.
You need to have adequate supplies so you don't get caught short. And especially with supplies that you will use. I mean, you don't.
And bench stock with signs and everything else.
You don't need to supply an extra helicopter because we aren't gonna use the
No,
one
we
we
don't
have,
need a
but
helicopter.
case of grease, absolutely. So,
I don't have a problem with that.
So I think it, two different things, whatnot. You still have the $2,500 for quote emergencies or whatever. And then I think what we also ought to do is then give the roads one guy, well, you were it at the moment. The roads one person at this point in time, up to $1,000 a month
What
for the incidentals,
what would roads one guy be comfortable with a number?
$1,500 a month?
I would say probably 1,500, because I don't think you have that much a month. I mean, carburetor kit here and there.
And if, like I said, if it's something, you know, just on
I
a
think
basic,
that'd be more than sufficient.
that, anything else it's not an emergency anyway, and it would come to city council, and there shouldn't be that many purchases that would come to city council over $1,500.
You know what I mean? And I think-
I'll make a motion to approve roads one up to $1,500. Does that work? A month?
That workshop, or do we wait?
That's
on-
just-
it's on
That's
there.
just for filling maintenance stuff.
Yes, the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with the $2,500 emergency.
Yeah.
Okay, if he made a motion, I will second that.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign, motion carries. All right, let's work on the policy. Scott, you've got time to do that?
I don't, but I will. I'll make,
I was working on it too, so I think
Yes.
if we all can come back, if you want on November 17th or the first meeting of the December, come back with like markups, what you like, what you don't, and then we can have.
Yep, okay.
I'll see what I'll get something typed up too, see what we can do, but, yeah. that works.
It's the
Other one,
Starting with
okay.
the Albertville.
Albert one, this, yeah.
But there's other policies out there, and we don't necessarily have to use that one. We don't have to copy the city of Albertville just because our attorneys are in Albertville.
If there's something that is not in there that you would like to see in there, whatever that might be.
Got it down for the next meeting, okay.
Okay, number 7, discuss use of truck. This came up actually, about the GMC pickup. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna ask the guy, everybody here, I mean, if the gals need the truck, if it's sitting out here in the parking lot, and the gals need the truck to run up to, Marv's to post something, or the post office, or whatever the deal is, if they take their personal vehicles, we're paying them mileage. If that truck is sitting here, got any problem with them using it?
I didn't have a problem with them using it because I didn't have a problem with using it. I told the guys this when I was abroad. If they're hot patching, of course, you know, they're tied up, they can't come back. But I mean, anytime they try to accommodate staff, you know, if we try to do certain days or timeframes, just let them know, kind of an FYI. I had no problem with them using it.
But I guess what I'm saying is, if it's sitting out there in the parking lot, and they need to run up to the post office, if it's out doing something else, well, that's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
I think the writing's on the wall there. But if it's sitting in the parking lot, whatever, and at least not being run or used at the time, and the gals need to use it.
Do you,
I don't have it unless you just run it by maintenance to see if they have an appointment or meeting a contract.
my feeling is, when we purchased that truck, it was also to use for staff, for the clerks, and most of their trips are less than 15 minutes. Honestly,
Yeah, I don't have
pull
a
some-
problem.
I think if they need it, they go grab the keys, they take it at that point. It doesn't need to be cleared with anybody.
Well, I just think the maintenance book, they have an appointment at 2:00 somewhere. And
Well, they
take
have
it.
other vehicles, right?
Well, it's easier to take that out, taking the 1-tons out there for that.
Why is it easy? Don't they both drive and you put it in D and it moves? I don't get why it's easier.
Mayor, I'd have a little comment.
I want to get these guys.
I think the truck's the easiest thing instead of pulling all that stuff out.
So are they parked behind something, but if you raise the door, you can
Yeah, but
drive one of them out? I guess I fail to see
when I
the
saw,
3/4 ton and the 1 ton, what's the difference between driving them, if they're using them for 15 minutes?
when the truck was purchased, my understanding was it was mainly to be used for maintenance
It
purposes
was, my understanding was,
and accommodate staff if needed.
that's not how it was written.
So that's why, because that truck is more used by them And if
Well,
they need to.
I understand it's more used by them, but that doesn't mean it's solely for them.
You know, so in my opinion, it's out there, it's easier for them to go somewhere. So I'm just saying, they've been coordinated for the last 2 years.
So I have a question. So if maintenance has an appointment, but staff took it up to use it up there, why can't maintenance take their personal vehicles then and we pay them mileage because we're making them do it? I mean, to me, we have a lot of other vehicles back there, and I don't get why those vehicles can't get used if they, in the 15 minutes, if they have to run to an appointment to run those cars, those vehicles.
Well, I'm saying if it's that big of an issue, then I think we either pay Joan and Kayla or get them another vehicle. Give them other one, so they have their own.
What, so we want to buy another vehicle?
I'm
If
just
they
saying.
run up twice
I see that
a
truck
week
as a
for
maintenance
15
truck.
minutes? It wasn't purchased for that. Go back to city council minutes, it was supposed to be a shared vehicle. When I voted on it, it was to be a shared vehicle.
When I was a road liaison, they accommodated staff as much as possible to use it. So,
Again, when we
So-
purchased it,
so I don't have a problem.
I-
What I'm saying is, it's common
sounds like
courtesy.
you do, Tom.
It's common courtesy to check with the maintenance. If Joe needs a truck, it has to be, say she goes to post office 2, they got an appointment at 2:00. Well,
Well, why,
I
I
just-
still don't understand why the other vehicles can't move out of that shed.
I still have some valuable.
Hang on, Mr. Good. Gentlemen? Good.
Thank you. There are some dynamic things that go along with this truck. It is a specifically kitted truck. We have specific,
tools, yeah.
doesn't always, through this 15-minute window. I feel like we've been, office staff has the ability at their discretion in most instances. What the challenging dynamic back of the truck that could be stolen, I mean, saws or other small pieces of equipment. I know they're in there, and I'm not sure if the office staff completely has the same understanding of what's in the back of the truck. I don't know if they're double checking what's there when they left the bank. For instance, I've had stuff stolen from my truck. That's the world we're living in over here. As well as, I don't know, trash, stuff that's in the bed of the truck that just, I don't know they're taking it. I don't know to take the things out of the truck. And I tend to do, I think, a good job of, hey, the girls are in the truck. Let's go make sure there's nothing in there that could be stolen or fly out of the bed of the truck.
Tools was the thing.
You know, debris, stuff I pick up on the side of the road. I try to drop off in our collection points, but we're all human, stuff happens.
Does
Just
that,
wanted to add that.
does that truck have a lockbox on the back? And why aren't the tools in the lockbox?
That's got
What kind of tools are we talking about?
post pounder, chainsaw, weed whips, blower.
Don't we have a trailer for all of that stuff?
I don't take the trailer with everywhere. Come on.
I mean, the stuff is, Mr. Mayor, the tools,
What I got out of that, Mr. Rush, I'm just gonna say, girls don't know what they're doing. That's what I heard. Out of all of that, that's what I heard. The girls don't know what they're doing.
I'm
And
not,
I'm pretty
why
freaking tired of
why
it.
you coming, looking at me? I'm just saying, for
Because-
example, the
because That's
tools.
what I heard. They're tools
I'm
in
just
the back of the
saying-
truck, the girls don't know what to do with, they shouldn't have it.
When we purchased that truck, what was to the accommodation that staff would be able to use it at their discretion when they had to do that. That's why we purchased it. Years ago, I wanted to give the dock car over here and it didn't fly at that time because Kathy didn't feel they needed it. But we're having our staff drive their personal vehicles up there, so we gotta give them something.
I'm not saying
give 'em
not give,
something.
did I ever say I wasn't gonna give them anything?
Do we
No.
need to purchase another vehicle? I don't believe so.
I'm gonna use the example with the tools. Phil one time was working on the salt and sand shed, correct? And the tools were in the truck. The truck was taken, you didn't have, any other tools because you left the stuff in there. That's just, and thank you, that was just one example. I don't have a problem paying the staff if they use their car, I never said that. But I'm saying, I don't have a problem with them to work this, I'm just saying, communication is the key here. Communication, you can't be overwhelmed with communication.
It just, but it seems to me that they have, the impression is they have to ask permission every time they.
I'm saying just check with them. I'm just saying check. If you have an appointment, you have to be at 2:00 and he has an appointment, maybe call the vendor, hey, I'll be there at 2:30 then or something. Communication, that's all I'm saying.
But at any rate, okay, so use of the truck. If the girls need the truck, they can use it, right? That's the way
Yes.
everybody feels,
Yes.
okay? I just want that cleared. Okay, as this is a special meeting, we can't talk about anything else, so I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? Motion and a second.
I'll second it.
Al seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion, we're adjourned 8:50. Of course not.
If I ask about the driveway widths, get the stubs that go on the driveways out in Spencer's development.
Okay,
Is there a certain width that we got, because I heard there was a 16, is that big? Or 14, or 20, or I back this far. We were adding on little slivers of these driveway stubs, which if I put my driveway in, I'd rip out before I put mine in anyway, but we did it for Bessler for free, went back and added and fixed the stuff. I'm not doing that. We gotta have a number that they pick is, because I was told they had to be this to this to this.
Is this, correct me if I'm wrong, is this where it was actually 22 and it should have been 24?
Do we have a document?
we have driveway standards, we should get them to you, so.
Somebody should have some,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
The applicant
Yeah,
has
Hang
them.
on, hold it, I don't know where you're going with that, but if you don't have them, we'll get them to you. How's
Well, he's got, yeah, I'd like to see something.
So you bought your thing from Bessel?
All righty.
I just get told to go put something in there and we do, and then they come back, well, actually, it's gonna be a little bit